You're watching Battle of Champions. I'm your host, Nikhil Naz. Now, India's campaign at the T20 World Cup might be over, but they have another series now to look forward to that starts on the 17th of November. T20Is versus the Kiwi team that gave them a tough time at the T20 World Cup and has given them a tough time in general. And what we are getting to here is that a lot of players that have been in the bio bubble for very long for the Indian team are likely to be rested. We're going to discuss that. The team for that series is going to be announced anytime now, and we'll bring you all the latest updates on India today. But let's first begin with our big story, and what we're telling you at the moment is an India Today exclusive, and that Virat Kohli is going to be rested, not just for the 3 T20Is that everyone expected, because he had a long run in international cricket and has been in a bio bubble for very long, but he's also going to be rested for the first test match against the Kiwi team. Now remember, after those 3 T20Is versus New Zealand, India is also going to play a series of 2 test matches, and the first test match, what we're getting to here is that Virat Kohli has asked for a rest. So it's going to be an extended rest for him. 3 T20Is is not going to be part of that start the series, and then it will be followed by the first test match where Virat will not be playing. The second test match, he's expected to make a return to the Indian team, and you're guessing then that he will be leading the Indian team in the second test match. Who is going to be leading the Indian team in the first test match? That will be a topic of heated debate, but we'll keep bringing you the latest updates here on India Today. So that's the big breaking story that we're bringing you at the moment. What we're also getting to here is that it could be Rohit Sharma. You know that in all likelihood he is going to be taking over as the T20I captain from Virat Kohli. Signals have already been given both by Virat Kohli and Ravi Shastri. They've given enough indications to suggest that Rohit Sharma is that next T20I captain. But what we're getting to here is that he will also be captaining in that first test match. Joining me for more on this story is my colleague Rahul Dravid. Rahul, that makes it very interesting. You would have thought that probably Ajinkya Rahane, the vice captain, the designated vice captain, may have been given the reins for that first test match. But is it true that it is going to be Rohit Sharma even in the longer format?
Well, see, as of now, we all were expecting that Ajinkya Rahane would take up that captaincy job as far as first test match is concerned, because in the past also, when Virat opted out of that lone test against Afghanistan, Ajinkya Rahane was the captain. Then in Australia also, in Dharamshala against Australia, here in India, Rahane was the captain. But his performances, unfortunately, forced the selectors or the think tank to make Rohit Sharma as the captain for that first test match against New Zealand that is going to be played next month or late this month. So that's a bit surprising, and also a setback to Ajinkya Rahane as well.
All right, you talk about the fact that he hasn't had great performances with the bad Ajinkya Rahane. That could be a thought process why they've gone with someone like Rohit Sharma. Also coupled with the fact that Rohit Sharma, I'm just looking back at those series that you're talking about where Rohit was part of the team and yet it was Ajinkya Rahane that was given the reins of that test side. Is it possible that now in the last 6-8 months or even a year, we've seen a resurgent Rohit Sharma as far as Rohit Sharma, the test cricketer, is concerned, and that may have also gone in a favor, that if you're going to give him someone a captaincy for one test match, might as well continue with the guy that you're handing over the T20I team to?
Well, absolutely. Why not? Ajinkya Rahane's performances lately have not been up to the mark. There have been occasions. In 2018, he was dropped in South Africa. Then in England, again, he was dropped. And he did score 100 in Australia. But thereafter, his performances have been very, very poor. It's not that he's not scoring overseas. The problem is that he's been unable to score runs even at home against England when England toured India. Earlier this year, he wasn't amongst the runs, and Rohit as of now is an all-format player. Not many in this Indian team, in this Indian setup, are assured of a place in all 3 formats, and Rohit Sharma alongside, of course, Virat Kohli has given up his T20 captaincy. But if you see Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, perhaps Rishabh Pant or Jasprit Bumrah, these are the only 4 players you can say for surety that who will actually make it to all three formats. And Rohit Sharma lately, as you mentioned, has been resurgent. He's assured of his place, and even in Australia, when Virat came back from Australia after India lost in Adelaide, Ajinkya Rahane was the captain and Cheteshwar Pujara was his deputy. But the moment Rohit Sharma walked into that 11, he was made the vice captain. So, of course, it is a setback for Ajinkya Rahane. He also needs to contemplate or think or ponder over his future, not just as a vice captain, but also as a player.
Okay, let's look beyond the captaincy now, and the team will be announced for the T20I series versus New Zealand. We've heard enough of bio bubble talk both from the Indian management as well as players saying that that extended time in the bio bubble could have been a major reason why India crashed out of the T20 World Cup so early. Let me ask you that, Rahul. Is it possible to see wholesale changes to the T20I team, the Indian T20I team now for the New Zealand series? Chance for a lot of players who've been in the bio bubble for very long to be rested, and a lot of youngsters to be given a chance? If yes, who are the likely players that are going to be rested?
Well, I think even if both of us pick the likely 11 or a likely squad, I think more or less it will be the same players who would be drafted in that squad. Of course, based on their IPL performances, and that too, who've been very consistent. Venkatesh Iyer, Hardik Pandya, we all know is unlikely to make it to the squad. I don't know, because a lot of these senior players would be rested. So with Hardik Pandya, would that be the case, whether he would be rested or would he be dropped? In that case, Venkatesh Iyer, who had a phenomenal UAE leg in the IPL, could make the cut. And as far as openers are concerned, Ruturaj, Prithvi Shaw, even Devdutt Padikkal. With Devdutt Padikkal, you get an option to play a left-hander at the top. Whether he makes the cut, even if he is drafted in the squad, whether he'll make it to the 11, that remains to be seen. But Prithvi Shaw could be, is most likely the option to open with Rohit Sharma. Amongst others, Deepak Chahar, who was there in the reserves, he is also, he could make the cut. Chetan Sakaria, who played that Sri Lanka series, a left-arm pacer, he gives that option that India has been looking for quite some time now. And against left-handers, Indian players, the top order especially, has struggled. Chetan Sakaria could be one option. A dark horse, maybe Arshdeep Singh. Unlikely, but still he is a dark horse there. And there are a few more options. Sanju Samson, perhaps. Till yesterday, it was the end of an era with Shastri gone, Ravi Shastri gone as the head coach. Today onwards, it will be the dawn of a new era. Rahul Dravid takes charge, and with him, a lot of people, because Rahul Dravid knows these players. He's been associated with the Indian junior setup for quite some time. He knows these players in and out. He knows their ability. Perhaps he can bring the best out of these youngsters. And a lot of these seniors, as we mentioned, would be rested, but also a lot of youngsters would be drafted in. Perhaps looking at the next T20 World Cup, you wouldn't tinker with the core of this team, but still there'll be a few more additions as far as this T20 setup is concerned.
Right. Let's get into specific. As Rahul is reporting there a lot of senior players are likely to be rested for that T20I series versus New Zealand. Let's look at the players that are most likely to sit out of this series. And you've got the likes of Virat Kohli, as we've been reporting right from the start. Not only the T20Is, is likely to miss that first test match as well. Hardik Pandya is another name that comes to your mind that might be rested. Rishabh Pant has been playing non-stop cricket. The IPL, before that the England series. Ditto for KL Rahul as well, has had a long season. Ravindra Jadeja, again, a player who's had to shoulder a lot of workload. Ravi Chandran Ashwin, Mohammad Shami, Bhuvi, Jasprit Bumrah, Shardul Thakur. Now, these are all fast bowlers that would need a lot of rest. As I said, that they've been continuing to play a lot of cricket, whether it's international cricket, whether it's the longest format of the game, then it was that second half of the IPL, and then the T20 World Cup. So these players are going to be rested, which means you're going to have a very new look side when India take on New Zealand in that T20 series that is starting on the 17th of November. As Rahul just reported, that it's going to be a dawn of a new era. You're going to get a new captain, a new coach, and plenty of new faces.
With India's early exit from the T20 World Cup, it's the beginning of a new era. Ravi Shastri's tenure as head coach is over, and Rahul Dravid will walk into that Indian dressing room with expectations of over 1 billion people. India next plays New Zealand at home for a 3-match T20 series, which will be followed by 2 tests, and a number of youngsters with whom Dravid has worked in the past are expected to make the cut. Rohit will lead the team with Virat not in the fray for captaincy anymore, and there will be a few candidates to open with him. Prithvi Shaw and Ruturaj Gaikwad will surely be there in the race, considering the kind of consistency and promise they have shown. Hardik Pandya is unlikely to be included, and in his absence, Venkatesh Iyer, who had a phenomenal UAE leg with that bat and is also someone who can bowl medium pace, will get a chance to show his credentials at the big stage. Ishan Kishan will be there too, and Sanju Samson could also join him in the team as the 2 wicket keepers if Rishabh Pant is rested. During Shastri's tenure with Virat as the captain, the best results came from fast bowlers who've made India a team capable of wickets in any conditions. Avesh Khan and Harshal Patel should make the cut, and considering T. Natarajan is back on the field, he could also be included in the T20 squad. Mohammad Siraj, Yuzvendra Chahal, Akshar Patel are some of those who are expected to be back in the team for the New Zealand series. Sports Bureau, India Today.
Right, earlier in the program we told you that it's going to be likely 10 names that were part of this current T20 World Cup squad that are going to be rested for the T20Is series versus New Zealand. So when those 10 names are rested, who are the players that the selectors are going to look at? Let's take a look at them rather closely, and we're starting with the openers. What are the options that the Indian selectors have? If they have to blood in a few youngsters, they have the options of Ruturaj Gaikwad from Chennai Super Kings, who's been outstanding. The boy from Pune could do no wrong there. Plenty of runs under his belt. Prithvi Shaw, a man who's been there waiting in the wings for very long, is that destructive batsman. Venkatesh Iyer, another guy who had a great IPL. Mayank Agarwal, a player that has been with the Indian Test team as well and has great outing in the IPL, could be looked at. And then Devdutt Padikkal, who has been selected in the Indian team previously, is another opening option. Middle order is that one area where there aren't too many riches for the Indian selectors to select from. We've picked Shreyas Iyer. Shivam Dube could be that X factor, the one who can tonk the ball. Shah Rukh Khan, another guy, if you're looking at a finisher at number 6, could be a name they could look at. And Sanju Samson, someone who's been with the Indian team on the periphery for a long time. And if Pant is rested, if you're looking at a wicketkeeper, you have a Kishan and a Sanju Samson. Plenty of options as far as pacers are concerned. T. Natarajan is back into full fitness. He's playing Syed Mushtaq Ali at the moment. He could be looked at. Mohammad Siraj, who's done well in the longer format, could be looked at. Avesh Khan was outstanding in the IPL. Harshal Patel, Prasidh Krishna, Umran Malik, the new sensation, really quick fast bowler, and Chetan Sakaria, who has been selected in the Indian team before this. For spinners, you could look at Washington Sundar, Ravi Bishnoi, Akshar Patel, and Yuzi Chahal most likely will be making a comeback into that T20 team. When that team is announced, be sure that we'll have all the updates right here on India Today. But that's all that we could pack into this edition of our program. Thanks so much for watching.